What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Outranked Podcast. I'm your host, Rafael Rhodes. I'm joined with Steve Lewis, who is my co-host, and my new co-host that I've added on to the podcast, Nowicki, because he was such a great guest last week, and he brought a lot of energy, so we wanted to bring him back. He wants to stay connected with the military community, and Wick, welcome to the show officially, full-time.
Thank you, everybody, on your best behavior. I will be taking notes.
He's our local inspector general, so he monitors us and makes sure that we are under control, which is kind of like the inmates running the asylum. And today we have a very special guest out of Hendersonville, Tennessee, I believe it is.
That's correct. You got it.
Joseph Brush. Joseph Brush and I have been friends for well over 20 years.
Yep.
We met in Minot, North Dakota. Joe, how are you, buddy?
I'm good, man. How you been?
Been good, man. Excited to have you on. Welcome to the show.
Excited to be here. I'm loving everything that you guys are doing. So it's real nice. Real nice what you guys are doing here.
Thank you, man. We're just trying to stay connected to the community that gave so much to us, kind of like what I told Wick earlier.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's get into it, man. Growing up in Hendersonville, Tennessee, that's where you're originally from.
Yes, sir.
And what was growing up like?
So, born here, 85. It was a real small, we're small town. We're right on the lake. So there's a lot of lake things, boats, swimming, fishing. So in the 80s and 90s, it was real small. Then when I joined the military, it kind of blew up, as of course, Nashville's blown up. So we kind of get the trickle effect, but yeah, so just growing up, my mom was a police officer, for the Hendersonville Police Department here. She had me at the age of 17. So we kind of grew up together, went to a few of her high school classes. She was a waitress, just out there on the grind, busting her ass. And then in the 1990s, she became a police officer, for 5 years until 95. Then she started her own business of, kind of taking over my grandmother's business of, interior design. So, now she does wallpapering, painting, all that fancy stuff. But yeah, life was good. Schools are real good out here. Yeah, there wasn't much. It was small town, quiet, nothing really going on. Not a lot of crime, not a lot of, we'd be out on summertime, we'd be out from like 8:00 in the morning. And we wouldn't get back until, the lights came on. That's when we had to be back. So, yeah, old-fashioned parents, or old-fashioned mom, single parent. She, kicked me out of the house. Hey, I don't want to see you till the sun goes down. You go out, and do your thing. So, she didn't want me in the house. So that's what we did. Me and the neighbors, we just roll around, go to the creek, go fishing, build dams. That was pretty much a lot of the summer.
Wick, you got a question for him, buddy?
Yeah. So, I saw a meme the other day. Our parents will never know how far we rode our bikes in the 90s.
No, they won't.
Down there in Hendersonville, Tennessee, everybody assumes Tennessee, backwoods country. Exactly how far are you from Nashville?
So I'm literally like 25 minutes from downtown Nashville. So it's a quick shot straight down. But again, the 90s, Nashville was small. You just had Broadway, some honky tonks down there, and that was pretty much it. So, but yeah, it was, we weren't really backwoods here. We're like a suburb. It's just, it was small.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lewis,
I can relate.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you heard Wick's episode that I put on a couple days ago, Joe.
Not yet.
But Wick's from Terre Haute, Indiana.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I'm right on the Kentucky border. So Indiana's literally, I think it's an hour and a half drive for me. We just shoot up on that small panhandle, almost maybe 2 hours.
You probably smell us from here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just you.
Disgusting.
Just you, Wick.
It's definitely just me today.
Lewis, what's up, man? You got a question for Joe?
What kind of student were you back in school?
So I was a terrible student. Math, I couldn't do a lick of math. I just can't retain it. Information, I couldn't retain. And I guess that reflected back to the Rafael might remember, but the CDCs.
Oh yeah, I remember the CDCs.
I struggled on that. I was always locked up in the math in the little computer room studying, trying to pass those damn things. I couldn't retain information. So as far as school, I was happy with lunchtime and PE time. That was when I excelled. Everything
My kind of guy.
Yeah, everything else was kind of just downhill.
Well,
So yeah.
Before you continue on, I just want to so the CDCs, it was our book version of how we had to do our job. It was pretty much our job in 5 separate books, if you guys remember our 5 levels, to get our CDCs. Now, I would remember Brush and I used to work out in the missile field, and we would have to go out for 3 days, 4 days at a time. And he would be literally in the room doing his CDCs all day, except for when we played pool or when we did training or we were pulling played spades or we were pulling pranks on people.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
And we had a lot of fun doing all the Jeep jokes with everybody. But one thing I learned, and this is where my training, the trainer in me kicked in even as a senior airman, is Rush was a very hands-on learner.
Yes, absolutely.
Not the give him a book and let him read it learner.
Yeah, I'm one of those. Exactly. I'm a visual learner. You put me into it, show me how to do it, and then I'll get it. Which is funny enough. We're figuring out why I was struggling. I've just recently been diagnosed with adult ADHD, but I got the ADD side of it. I guess everything's under the umbrella of ADHD. I just don't have the hyper part of it. So the VA now we've been going through meds for since November, trying to figure out what meds work best for me, but we finally got it dialed in, and it's amazing. It's amazing what the potential I could have had as a young kid, all the way up to even being in the Air Force, to what I have now. So now I'm more active. I'm out. I'm learning a lot of things. I want to do a lot more stuff. But beforehand, I didn't want to do nothing. I just wanted to just be my own little world and hang out. But yeah. So school struggled, especially in middle school. I tried out for the basketball team in middle school. The coach happened to be the math teacher, and he just laughed at me when I came to tryouts. He's like, "Yeah, you're not going to make it." He was like, "You'll be benched the whole season because of your math grades."
Hey, before you continue, Brush, Wick, you're muted, buddy.
Yeah, I did that because my dog was giving himself an aneurysm in the other room.
That's all right, buddy. I just want to make sure.
Kind of hoping it's successful at this point.
I have a dog like that too. Notice how dog handlers have dogs that are out of control. It happens.
Man, I don't like bringing work home with me. That dude doesn't listen to nothing.
Yep. So you had a math teacher.
Yeah. That was the basketball coach. Yeah. And him and I never got along because, I realized in middle school that this math thing is not for me. And so it was just very deflating. So I was just like, I didn't even put in any type of effort for it. None of that stuff. I was like, dude, this isn't for me. I'm not doing this. I don't know how I passed. I think the teachers just like, look, dude, we don't want you here anymore. So just here.
I don't want to see you again.
Here's a D and you pass. So, got through middle school. When we got to high school, they put me in Foundations of Online Learning. They tried to put me in, I think it was Algebra 1 first. The teacher was
yeah, I'm with Wick on this one.
Ew. Yeah, the teacher was like the one that teaches like the honors classes. So she had like an honors class, and then she had like the basic, just regular algebra class. But she taught us like we were in the honors, and I was just like, yo, like I'm not getting any of this. And
I cannot find X.
Yeah, right. So I think halfway through the year or the semester, because we would change up in December to go to new classes. Halfway through that semester, I was just like, this is just not. And I would just take a nap. I was like, I give up. And so I would take a nap in her class every day. And then the guiding counselor came down. She got me into another class for the next semester. I went to his class, and he was actually a visual teacher. Like, he was showing, okay, do this, do this. So like I was getting it. I was understanding it. And then for some reason, the third weekend, the counselor came in and said, hey, you're in the wrong class. I was like, well, what are you talking about? This is what my sheet says. And she put me back in the other teacher's class.
Oh.
And I was like, are you kidding me? And I was like, so I tried to, protest it. It was like, look, this isn't, and put me back in the other class. It was like, oh, it's full. Then I was like, well, move somebody else. Like don't put me at a disadvantage. They're like, no, there's nothing we can do. So as soon as I went in there, I was like, hey, look, you already know. And I just went straight back to sleep. I was like, I'm not even going to try. So then my sophomore year, they put me in foundation, like, what is it? The foundations of, I forget what it's called. It's really dumb middle school math all over again, just to get the math credits. So that teacher was great. His name was Coach Hall. He played for the University of Alabama. He was a wide receiver.
Oh, nice.
He was amazing. He was a football coach, but he, like, visual learner. He was there on me. Like, he really put me through. Like, he's one of my favorite teachers I've ever had. Because he spent that time with me and was like, hey, you got this. And it's like, he was really encouraging and backing that up. So back towards the end of the high school season, junior, sophomore year, I knew I wasn't going to college. I was like, hey, no way. I'm going to keep doing this. I wanted to be a police officer, follow my mom's footsteps. My grandpa, he was a police officer in Metro, my aunt. So a lot of police in my bloodline. So I was like, that's what I'm doing. But my mom sat down and talked to me. She was like, look, if you want to be a police officer.
I want you to hold on just one second before we jump into that, because we're jumping ahead, and I appreciate it.
Slow me down.
I appreciate it. Did you get recruited to play some football in high school too, or?
No, I wrestled. My junior year, my neighbors, they were on the wrestling team. And so they got me to come out, and I was like, I don't know, like the singlet thing. I don't know if that's my style, but I honestly, it was really challenging, and I really enjoyed the challenge of it. Just kind of, you have to get in your opponent's head and then, like, throw some moves on them. So my junior year, I really sucked. Like, I was terrible at wrestling. I was getting my butt mopped up and down on the mat. My senior year, I did really well. I bumped up in weight class, even though I was, 152. I bumped up to the 160 because there was nobody in that weight class in the state. Like, it was like a dead weight class. There was maybe just a handful of wrestlers. So a lot of the wrestling matches, I won by default. It was like nobody showed up. Boom, raised my hand, I won.
That's an easy win right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think, I don't know how many matches I won, but I got to the end of that, and it was time to go to state. I got an opportunity to go to state with my neighbor, and him and he was in the 189 weight class. Him and I would wrestle off just to practice. And the coach, so my neighbor, he was amazing wrestling. Like, he was one of the top dogs. Like, he was good. But I felt like the coach at that time, it could have been my youth, but the coach just really, it seemed like he was favoring my neighbor. So when we're in there practicing, he was telling my neighbor all these moves. Hey, do this. Hey, this is how you get out of this. This is how you do this. And I'm over there on the mat like, dude, I need all the help I can get. Like, what do I need to do? Stop coaching him. He's good. So I got really frustrated with that. And I just, I got up, stood up, and I was like, you know what? I was like, if you're just going to coach him, go ahead. I was like, I'm done. I quit. And I just walked out because I was just, fed up with it. So I left. I had the wrestlers come to me at lunch and throughout school, the following weeks, just come back, that I was like, when the coach apologized to me, I'll come back. Coach never wanted to apologize. Our coach was an Olympian. He wrestled Del Greco in the Olympics.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So he was a great coach, and I just ran into him maybe 2 weeks ago, told him how thankful I was for him. He was a great coach, and sorry that I quit on him. Because now as I'm older, I shouldn't have went out like that. But yeah, I didn't go back because I was just, again, probably youth. I was just upset, pissed off. I was like, I'm not going to keep doing this. So,
All right, Wick, you got a question?
Yeah, there are a lot of people in the state of Indiana where me in a singlet lives rent free in their head.
Right.
There was a lot of people in the Air Force that the same thing happens. Wick.
Sometimes I still mow the grass in it. Hey man, I'm retired. I do what I want.
I got the visual.
So I got the visual in my head now.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. No, so you said that it was something in your youth, but obviously something drove you to join the wrestling team, that competitive, spirit. But a little bit of immaturity is what caused you to quit.
Right.
Did that competitive spirit kind of help you be successful throughout your military career when you first joined, or did you still kind of have that inkling of like, man, this ain't for me either?
No,
Like you, I've been trying to find my niche for a long time, and when I got to the Air Force, I finally felt like I found it. So how'd that work out for you?
yeah, so same thing. Once I got out of high school, that's the weirdest thing is like high school, I didn't really connect with anybody. I was more of a outside, not a trench coat, like I want to kill myself type of person, but I didn't mesh with anybody. Like there was the jocks, there was the nerds, what have you. And I just didn't get along with any of them. I just saw through all of to me, it was all phony. Just, yeah, we're just doing this just to get friends or whatever is what it seemed like to me. So my neighbors, they were like hardcore Christians and they got me going to church and stuff like that. But I grew up with them. We started kindergarten together and we went all the way through high school together. So they're my closest. They're more like my brothers than they were anything else. But yeah, outside of that, I just didn't really get with anybody. And then it was weird because when I joined the military, it was a whole bunch of people that I felt like were in the same situation as me. Like they were all just like dudes and girls that were just like, hey, we didn't have a clique. This is our clique now. Like
the land of misfit toys.
Yeah, exactly. All the misfits together. Exactly. So we when I joined the Air Force, of course the first couple of nights you're like, oh, what the hell did I do? Why did I join this? Like it's crazy. But as time went on, PT was easy for me. Like I was running, the push-ups, all that was real simple. And it just, probably after the first, probably 2 weeks, that's when I really clicked in my head, like, hey, this is where I belong. This is what I want to do. This is what I wanted to do that, full 20 was my goal and beyond, but things happen. I'm sure we'll get into that.
Yeah. We're gonna get into all that, and you were always you were even in good shape at Minot. I remember us working out together, and when we would go to the missile field, we had our little gym. We would go work out.
Right.
I mean, you were always a PT.
Yeah,
you were a PT stud. But I know Lewis probably got a question for you. Go ahead, Lou.
I definitely was not a PT stud. I was. There was no such thing as a fun run.
There still isn't.
Yeah, no.
I enjoyed running then. I hate running now. I despise it. I just do not want to do it. But when I was in, I enjoyed the running part of it. That was where I pretty much excelled.
Yeah.
No, I missed the ergo. The ergo was still a thing whenever I came in, and I missed it. What was the leap that made you get into the military? What was the driving force for you to join the military?
So I knew college was out. And going back to, me being a poor student and not being able to retain information, I had to take the ASVAB 5 times before I got enough to get into the Air Force. But the Air Force is where I wanted to be. My dad was in the Navy. Had uncles in Marines and the Army, and I had one great grandfather that was in the Army Air Corps, and so but what really drove me to the Air Force side of it was my mom kept telling me the Air Force has the best police program. They are hands down the best. Don't go anywhere else. that's where you need to go. So I took that damn ASVAB so many times, and then finally I got just enough. And the whole time I'm taking those ASVABs, getting those scores, I got recruiters calling me Army, Navy, Marines. Hey, you could be whatever you want over here. You got high scores, and I'm over here like it's not enough. Like I want to be Air Force. Like, so yeah. So I knew college was out. I knew I wanted to be a police officer. I was always told Air Force has the best policing program. If you're gonna do it, do that. Do the 4 years, get out, come back, and you'll get hired right on because you've got that experience and that training. So that was ultimately the goal: is get in, be a police officer, and then go do my thing, see what happens after that.
Wick, you got a question, buddy?
Yeah. So, obviously, I don't dispute the fact that our training is probably superior to everybody else because it's done in actual pen, and not crayons. No disrespect to the Army, Navy, or Marine Corps. But were you kind of shocked to learn the diversity of what the career field was when you got in?
Absolutely.
That it was more than just law enforcement.
Yeah, definitely. It was such a, that's all I thought it was, is me just gonna have a 9mm on my hip, and I was just gonna check IDs all day and ride around in a police car giving tickets.
Same.
I didn't realize there was an airfield that we had to protect. I didn't realize there was a missile field we had to protect. I eventually did prison security. So, I mean, all that stuff, I just didn't realize how big that scope was.
You learned about the missile field real quick.
Oh yeah.
So shows up day one, ready to book him Dano, and he's like, "Ain't this some shit?"
Yeah. You know what's funny? Well, I don't know if we'll get into it or not, but that damn dream sheet is such a joke.
Oh, you can get into it. You can get into it. Go ahead. It's your show, bro.
So
Get into it.
I always grew up having a fascination with space, and I wanted to be close to NASA and do that. So I thought, I was going to join the Air Force, be a police officer, go to a NASA base. I was going to have a foot in the door to be an astronaut, which again, that's my dumb youth thinking that they're going to pick up a dumb cop to go fly a space shuttle into space. But I thought maybe I might get in connections with the right people. So I put all the bases that were around NASA and doing that stuff. So Florida, Texas, Georgia, and stuff around the house too, around my home, because I wanted to stay close to home. Everything they put me the furthest. They're like, "Hey, Minot," and at first I was like, "The hell is Minot?" So I'm like looking it up. I'm like, "Where is that? Is that like Germany? Like, what is Minot?" When I realized it was North Dakota, I was so pissed. I was like, "Dude, what am I doing? Like, what was the point of the dream sheet? Because
just to get your dreams crossed. That's what it was.
Yeah, it's a dream for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, nightmares are dreams too.
Imagine all the TIs are just looking at that list, going, just laughing, right? When they see it,
right?
You can imagine, like, everybody puts Hawaii and all these nice places. Yeah.
Well, what's crazy is there was a guy that was from Minot. He put Minot down as his dream sheet, and they put him in Florida. I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
Well, because they probably thought
what's that?
He didn't want to swap with you?
Oh, I didn't know about the swap stuff until later on, until I got to Minot. That's when I was told, well, yeah, you can swap with people. But at that time, nobody wanted to go to Minot.
They red flagged his ass at medical. Nobody puts that down.
Right.
He definitely shouldn't be around nukes, man. This guy's crazy.
Right, exactly.
He wants to go back?
Yeah.
Right.
Who wants to do that?
Yeah.
It's funny how it
There'd
works
be
out.
something wrong in his head.
And so you get to North Dakota. What was it? 2005.
Got to North Dakota in 2005. Yeah.
Yep.
It was
2005.
March 2005.
You get to North Dakota and you're like, well, what's around here? And you found out it was a whole bunch of nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
So
Nothing.
what kept the drive going for you? Because you were there for about 4 years.
No, I was there for 2 years.
2 years. Okay.
Yeah, I got lucky, and we'll get into that.
Yeah.
But
go ahead, man.
So I got there. Of course, you get into your dorms and everything. I was first floor, so it was coming off the back end of winter. Actually, let me get into this story because this is hilarious. So I did rap as soon as I got done, right before I go to my first base, I did rep. So I came back to do recruiting with the my recruiter and stuff. Amazing thing just to come back home, be in your dress blues, go back to your high school, flex a little bit, be like, oh yeah, I'm a big boy now. So after rep, I waited to the very last minute to try to get to North Dakota. I was very late on that. I had to be there in like 3 days. That's when I started like, oh shit, I need to get my shit together. So I was looking at plane tickets. I couldn't afford my mom couldn't afford a plane ticket. I was like, well, the hell am I gonna do? So the next best option was Greyhound bus line. So I took a Greyhound. My uncle dropped me off down in Nashville. And let me tell you what, Greyhound, if you want a good circus sideshow, take a Greyhound. Just go somewhere because there are so many. Just the dude that sat in front of me, he was bald. He had just this big eyeball tattooed on the back of his head, and it just stared at me all the way to. I think the first place we went to is I think it was Indiana was the first stop, and then we had to sit and wait. And then we went to Chicago.
Probably his home.
What's that?
He said it's probably his home.
Yeah.
He's keeping an eye out. Don't worry.
Got more race cars than teeth in this state.
So they took me up to that whole thing, and I sat next to some dude, and he swore up and down he was best friends with The Rock, and he was like, I got his phone number, and I was like, oh man, and he was like, yeah, you want me to call him? I was like, you know what, go ahead, call him. So he was calling these numbers. Like, I didn't answer. I was like, yeah, I bet he didn't.
It's not the number to The Rock. It's the number to buy a rock.
Yeah, it's by rocks. Right.
He was confused.
Absolutely. So got to Chicago. That was weird. Chicago's wild. It was even wild back then. To do a bus transfer, and you're talking like late nights. Like they're doing these things all night. So you could be up 3 o'clock in the morning up to do a bus transfer. So finally got on my last bus to get to Minot, but they don't go to Minot. They go to, was it Fargo?
Fargo?
Mm-hmm.
Was it Fargo or what was the other city?
Starts with a B.
Bismarck. It was Bismarck. Yeah. So I went to Bismarck. And so I get to Bismarck, and it's late at night. It's probably 11 o'clock at night, and the guy's there all by himself. Everybody's getting off, getting on the cars, going. I'm still, how many hours away from Minot. The guy's like, hey, I'm shutting down shop. And it was literally probably about 5 feet of snow outside. And I'm like, I ain't got nowhere to go. Like my, supervisor, nothing, nobody's there. And they said they won't be here until in the morning. And he's like, all right, well, this is what we're going to do. He was like, I'll lock you in here tonight. He was like, do you smoke? I was like, I don't smoke. He was like, all right, if you go out that door, the door shuts behind you, you're done. Like, you're not going to be able to get back in. So I was like, all right, yeah, no problem. So he locked me in, shut all the lights off, and I just slept on the floor right there in the middle of this small little itty bitty Greyhound bus station until the next morning when, my supervisor came down, and he was late. He was supposed to come and get me that night, and he didn't show up. He came the next morning, and him and somebody else, I forget their names, but they came pick me up, and then we rode all the way to Minot, saw absolutely nothing all the way there but flat land. Definitely depressing. Minot was very depressing. But yeah, I got there, absolutely nothing to do. You're not 21, you're still 19. Can't go to bars. You're in upgrade training, so you can't go out. You got to sit and study. So there was nothing but dorm and Xbox. That's all we were doing.
But I mean, I found it funny how you made a lot of close friends when you were in Minot because everybody was going through similar stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it was like that for you guys at Goodfellow and at Dias when you got there, Wick. I mean,
oh yeah,
a lot of you as young airmen or as young privates, you're all going through the same thing. You may not realize it at the time, but you're all going through the same thing together.
Yeah. Well, there's definitely a lot of bonds forged in that first duty station for sure. Like, everybody in that dorm was like family. We all, pick on each other. We'd eat together. We'd fight. everything. Play video games together, go to the day room, watch movies together. It was very, very close, tight knit. We all had each other, and it was crazy because Fifth Side Security Forces was the dorm behind us, and I don't know what was going on, but there was always a beef between 791st and the Fifth Side, and
Oh yeah, the missile and base security.
yeah, and I didn't get the beef, but they would be. I mean, Fifth Side would come over, and I'm the very first door. As soon as you walk in our dorm, I was the very first door, so I could see all my people, see everything. But Fifth Side came over and started a fight with the 791st, and they're in the lobby right there just duking it out, and I'm just behind my door looking at the people like, oh my God, what is going on? So it was crazy. I didn't understand the button of the heads and the rivalry behind it, but for some reason we were beefing with Fifth Side.
You got a question, buddy?
No, I was fixing my glasses, but thank you for asking.
So how did you manage to get out of Minot in 2 years?
All right, so here's the story of that. I met a girl.
That's usually how it starts.
Tale old as time.
Yeah.
That's how a good security forces story starts.
Yep. Met a girl that worked with us. Fell in love with her. It was a long story short. I fell in love with her, got her pregnant. She got orders to San Diego. She had my baby, so I was like, hey, I'm the daddy. I need to be down there too. So I got the follow-on orders probably about 4 or 5 months after she left. So long story
you
short,
got lucky.
I got out.
Yeah,
You guys still together?
Hell no.
Security forces story.
Yeah.
Right there, yo.
Yeah. No.
But I love her, Sarge.
Yeah, that's what it was at the time.
Hey, but it all ends up in the right place for a reason, right? Like everything happens for a reason, and everything ends up good. Because how old is your son now?
He's turning 18 in what's the day? The 2nd in 3 days.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just graduated high school. He's going to college to be a pilot. He wanted to join the Air Force. I was all for it, but my wife now, stepmom, she's like, you ain't going. Like, you do college first, and then if you still want to do it, you can do it. So, but yeah, he's got full custody of him. He's been living with me since 2014 when I got out. So
That's awesome.
we're doing the thing. So
where did you so what were you doing in San Diego? What was your job? Because we don't have an Air Force base out in San Diego.
not in San Diego, no. And you know what's funny is there are a lot of Air Force personnel in San Diego that we would run into, and I'm like, the hell do you guys come from?
Vandenberg.
But yeah,
I can't tell you how many times people got in trouble for going down there.
yeah. So I did prison security down there. So we did all the military personnel that broke the law. They had to do some prison time. We were down there. It was a Marine base, but the Navy ran the brigs, so the Navy was in charge. So we kind of directly worked for the Navy. So we had all walks of life there: Navy, Marines, Army, Air Force, all together. No Coast Guard because they don't do anything. So
They're Homeland Security. They don't count.
yeah.
They're out seizing drugs on
Yeah. Yeah,
coastline
right.
somewhere.
Strap hangers.
So how long were you in San Diego?
So I was in San Diego from 2007 until I got out in 2014. So 7 years.
7 years.
Yeah.
Dang.
So at that time, it's crazy because at that time when I got there, I was leaving Minot, and the currency, the money I'm making in Minot is not the same money you make in San Diego. So when I got there, I was broke as a joke. I didn't have a dime to my name. I was starving pretty much. I used all my money to get gas to drive down there because I had my car. And so when we get down there, it was crazy because that was back when the Air Force was trying to cut spending. So they're making all these personnel, getting people out, offering people deals. Yeah, they're offering people deals. Hey, if you get out, we'll give you X amount of dollars.
I remember the early out.
Yeah, the early outs. And so when I got there, our Air Force personnel liaison lady, we had an opportunity to sign some paperwork that says, hey, look, if you want to stay here, you can sign this document here. We will not move you anywhere because we don't want to pay to be moving people around. So this is where you want to be. You can stay here. And I was all for that. I was like, San Diego? Heck yeah. So I signed that, as well as everybody else that was there, Air Force wise. So we're all there. There was people there for like 10 years, 12 years. And we weren't going nowhere. We were happy right where we were at. We were like, oh, just leave us alone. Of course, there were some really gung-ho airmen that were like, nah, I'm ready to go back to deployment. Some that actually deployed and did that kind of things, and they have that itch where they're like, hey, I'm ready to go back. Like, get me out of here. Because again, I went from Minot, non-deployable, to security, the security for the prison, non-deployable. So I never got to go experience that side of the Air Force.
All right. Wick is back. Some technical issues.
Yeah, I can't hear him.
Oh.
We wouldn't be true security forces if we didn't have technical issues. Where's Calm? Calm?
You cut in for a second.
No, still not yet. Don't worry about it. We'll edit this out. We could edit it out.
Well, we got to leave that face in, though.
Oh, yeah, we got to leave the face in. He's got to sign back in.
So, yeah, Raph and I were at Creech when a lot of that cutback was going on.
Yeah.
Can you hear us now? All right, Wick's
Yeah, I
back.
can hear you now.
Oh, there you
right.
are. Hey.
Damn, dude, I thought I got fired on my first day.
No, it's technical issues, and like they said, it wouldn't be security forces if we didn't have technical issues going through it.
Yeah, I just unplug it and blow it on a little bit, put it back in.
That's what she said.
Ah, there it is. There it is.
I was waiting for it.
Somebody had to say it. I was about to, but
The pitch.
I'm gonna let you go.
It's
That was
gone.
a softball. That was a softball.
That was great.
That's the only thing he can hit.
He's got kids.
Yeah.
Bro,
Twice.
sun shines on a dog's ass twice a day.
Exactly.
All right, we're off topic. Anyway, Joseph, back to what you were saying.
Steve was talking about.
Oh yeah. So yeah, we were definitely there. So we saw like our field of instructors get cut like drastically because
Yeah.
those incentives and everything, and
Yep.
it was essentially a severance package, if you will. And so I know we saw people dropping right and left, and then a couple of years later they were like, "Oops, we need some more people."
Right. Yeah.
Right.
They cut too many people. Who
Yeah.
got too much money.
Right.
They're like, oh no, we need more people now. So that's crazy thing about that is like there was people going in and we were getting a buttload of security forces at that time, like the years to follow, because the field was so thinned out. I remember hearing stories of, people from Minot like, oh yeah, they got me doing this because we didn't have enough people. So that they were working overtime.
Yeah, they even upped the shred reenlistment bonus.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because I know whenever I got lucky, whenever I reenlisted as K9, and it went from like 2 to 3, and I was like, and then like 2 years later, it was at like 5. I was like, seriously?
Hey, in 2014 or 2013, when I reenlisted, I was in the desert and I got 35.
Wow.
Shoo.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy is when I first joined the Air Force, there was that incentive that they would give you. I think it was like a $10,000 bonus if you just did 6 years right off the rip. And I signed the 6 year. I was like, hell yeah, I'll take that. I went through, MEPS and did all that stuff, did the duck walk, the BS. And then right before we got on the plane, they brought me and some other guys into the office like, oh yeah, there's something wrong with the paperwork. You need to sign here. So they're like rushing us. Hey, your plane's gonna be leaving soon. You need to hurry up, sign it, and let's get out. So I signed it, not reading it, which was a huge mistake. So when we got through the end of basic, we're all sitting in the day room, and then our drill instructor was like, "Hey, who's all getting a bonus here?" My hand goes up with amongst other people. So he was going down the list of everybody that's getting the bonus, and then my name wasn't called. I was like, "Hey, wait a second, like I'm supposed to be getting a bonus to sign 6 years." And he was like, "No, I don't see you on the list." He's like, "You can go talk to, the finance, whatever, tomorrow." And I was like, okay. So I went and talked to them, and they brought out the paperwork, and sure as shit, I signed away saying I did not want $10,000. I was like, how does that make any sense? Who says that I did not want that? Like you signed the paper, and I was like, man, dude, I was like, what a ripoff, dude. I was like, that's so crazy.
Your recruiter said, "Gotcha."
Yeah.
Here's your A1C stripes. Go forth and do great
Yeah,
things.
I got senior airman a little bit earlier, I guess, and A1C, but yeah, no, it wasn't the recruiter, it was the MEPS, the people over at MEPS. They dicked me, but I'm sure there's an incentive on them. Hey, if you can get these people to sign off their bonuses, we'll help you guys out.
We'll promote you.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
Saved
Yeah.
Air Force $50 million.
Right.
So,
Yeah. I mean, I would have blown that $10,000 on some stupid shit.
But that's beside
Hey,
the point.
I love your integrity
$10,000
first mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you get out in 2014,
Yeah.
right? How was getting out? Like, what was the transition out of the military and back into civilian life like?
So I just want to backtrack a little bit and talk about my time in at the brig in San Diego.
Yeah, by all means.
Because there was some turmoil that happened there that almost got me out. Again, one of those things where I got fed up and I was like, screw it, I'm gonna quit. Well, down there, there's such the change of command, it happened so fast. And we had a new senior master sergeant that came in, and I never spoke one word to that guy. And you know, I'm down there working and doing my thing and doing security. And somebody came to me, one of the sergeants came to me. He's like, I think it was maybe a Marine sergeant, but came to me, he's like, hey, that new senior in there, he's talking very negative about you. And I was like, what? I was like, what is he saying? He's like, he told the new commander not to believe you, not to trust you. You're a liar, and da 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 da. Don't believe a word he said. I was like, he said me? Like, Brush? He was like, yeah, he was talking about you. I was like, what kind of sense is that? I was like, I've never talked to the senior master sergeant. He's new. I was like, how does he know my character? He doesn't even talk to me. So they put me in control center, which you're locked in a box for, I think it was, half the shift. So let's say 8 hours. I don't know. It was a long time, 6 hours maybe, but you're in there for a long time. And I'm just in there stewing over it, just pissed off, just getting myself.
What else are you going to do in a
up.
box?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just getting myself worked up in that little room. Then finally my relief came, and then I was walking out. And when you walk out of the wire, you pass the senior master sergeant's office, you pass the commander's office. They got these windows to the right side as you're walking down the sidewalk. And man, I wanted to make sure the senior master sergeant heard me walking out. So I took off my duty belt, and right in front of his window, I threw it down. I took my beret off, I threw it on the ground. And I was like, and I looked in his window, I was like, fuck you and fuck your Air Force. I was like, I'm done. And he did not like that one bit.
Bold move, Cotton.
That's the balls right there.
Yeah, I was just, oh man, I was so amped up. So then Master Sergeant came out and grabbed me and said, hey, you need to go in here and talk to Senior Master Sergeant. And then my supervisor at the time was not worth a lick. I mean, he was so concerned about himself. He was a lapdog for any senior leadership. He would do whatever they said and not stick up for, his airmen. And so like they had me all in that office, and the senior master sergeant is like just ripping me a new one. And I'm just standing there staring at the wall behind him. And he was like asking me questions, and I was like not responding. And then the master sergeant was like, you need to give him an answer. And then so I was being, a dick, and I was like, being very answer his question with anger. And so it just carried on and on. I was in there it felt like 2 or 3 hours, but I was probably in there for like 10 minutes. But I was so fed up with just the how do I say it? Just the fact that there was nobody there to have my back. I felt like I was alone at that point, because none of the leadership, I had no issues the whole time I was there in San Diego. I was, volunteering for things. I was, top of my game there. And I just didn't understand why, especially my supervisor. That's the thing that fed me up the most. My supervisor just didn't have my back. He didn't put a dog in the fight for me. He just rolled over for our senior and stacked paperwork like this thick on me and just put it in my file. And, so that all happened. And that was probably the lowest, not the lowest. That was one of the low points in my Air Force career. Being in Minot was the lowest.
That'll do it to you.
Just the 2 years there, I don't know how people could stay there that as long as they did, but
I did 4,
Quick
bro.
question.
So
Just
Yeah.
for perspective, so
Yep.
you're talking to a senior mess sergeant, E8. What
Yep.
were you?
well, I was a senior airman.
So an E4. Okay, so half. All right.
Yeah.
Just for perspective, right?
Yeah,
but I'll tell you-
he didn't like it because even when I went in there, the very first thing I was spouting off at the mouth. I was cussing. I was telling, F you, fuck you, fuck your rank, fuck, this, fuck your Air Force. And of course they didn't like any of that. But, and the crazy thing is that senior master sergeant wound up getting 4 or 5 of the other Air Force guys, and girls, where they weren't allowed to re-enlist. He gave them put something in their file where they couldn't re-enlist. His job was to get people out. That's all I believe he was there for, was just, I'm getting you out. I don't. And so he was on his last leg. That was his retirement duty. He was done after that. He was retiring from there. So I don't know what his deal was, but he was just, man, he was just a pain.
So I got a question real quick, and I'm sure
Yep.
Nowicki and Wick and Lou can really attest to this. We've all been to small bases.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
Minot was a huge base, and there were good leaders and there were bad leaders, but the bad leaders were overshadowed by good leaders.
Yeah.
Right? When you get to a small base, the bad leedership kind of shines a little more.
Yeah.
Oh, it's terrible.
I mean,
Oh, especially in a joint environment, because now that
Yeah.
you get those
Mhm.
those wannabe bulldogs, so
Yeah. And that's factual, because when you're there, everybody's competing. Oh, we're the better branch, we're the better people, blah blah blah. So when you have a little senior airman telling an E8, go fuck yourself, and Marines are standing by looking at that, Army is standing by looking at that, and they're Navy and they're all like, "Oh, what?
Marines were probably shitting themselves.
Yeah, no, they absolutely, yeah.
oh yeah.
I got so many stories about Marines and the PFCs coming through there. They're robots, I guarantee. But yeah, so seeing all that happen, and they're like, wow, like, you let your young airmen talk to you guys like that? Is that how that runs?
you basically punked him.
Yeah.
And everybody knew it.
And that's probably why I got the mountain of paperwork that I got. But,
Now, I will say this. I mean, I'm a big believer in the rank structure and
Yeah,
the Air
yes.
Force and everything that came along with it. And I think all of us can agree on that.
Mm.
But I mean, I can sit there and say you were kind of getting done wrong by this guy kind of bad mouthing you to begin with.
Mhm.
Already having something on your name, and then your supervisor really not saying anything. But yet you're
No.
right, senior.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, well, I definitely, respect of the rank. I did not have that, but I didn't respect the rank at that point. Maybe not the rank, the person. I didn't respect the person. The rank is still respected, but I was talking to him like I was talking to just some schmo off the street. Like, I didn't appreciate what he was saying about me, and I didn't appreciate that other people were hearing it. And
it's one thing to tell you in private,
right.
but when you're sitting there spreading it through
Well,
everybody
especially
else,
when you're telling the brand new commander that just got there, hey, these are the people you need to look out for, and these are the people that that are great. And it's like, bro, like, literally had no conversations with you, and you're already in the commander's ear telling him, I guess, the character that I am. So you're already tarnishing who I am. He's gonna be looking at me weird now, and yeah. So I was so fed up with that. But
And that's one of the things that annoys me too, is you got those people that get just out of pocket because there's nobody to keep them in it, number one. But number two, they're so concerned about looking good to this new commander and spilling the
Yeah.
tea.
Mhm.
And
right,
no matter if it's factual or not, now I look like the guy that has the in. I know what's going on. This commander's going to
Right.
trust me. He might push me for a strat. And it's my Air Force. Nah, motherfucker, it ain't. It ain't
it's
no more
crazy.
yours than it is mine.
That's the exact words you said. This is my Air Force. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
it ain't.
Well,
Yeah.
I know for sure Raph and I have definitely encountered some senior master sergeants that don't like
no.
being told they're
Yeah.
wrong.
Oh.
And someone has actually said those exact words to some senior master sergeants. Now, granted, I was an E6, not an E4.
Yeah,
still,
but
he
you were
didn't like
surrounded
it.
by other E6s at the time too.
I was, yeah.
Maybe in one
And
of
I
them.
had the AFI to back me up. So
Yes, you did.
Oh, there you go.
that's where I was coming
Yeah.
from. But he still don't like the answer. Yeah. And I still
Right.
got crapped on.
But all that being said, it was a hard time at the brig at that point, because there was just this one individual that was just out to get you. Once he retired, and then we got a new commander in, we got a new senior in, and I want to say his name. It was Senior Master Sergeant Alphen, and that guy saved my career. That guy saved me. Saved my outlook on the Air Force and what real leadership is, and the type of integrity and the type of people you want to be, that you want to keep in the Air Force. Him and I went on a mission. So basically, by the time he got there, I was in the air there probably 2 years. You're supposed to do a year on security there at the brig. After you do a year, they move you to another department. I did 2 years of security. I kind of floated under the radar. Nobody really noticed. And then senior came in and was like, "Hey man, you've been on security for 2 years. Like, why? Is this where you want to be?" I was like, "No." It was like, nobody offered me anything, so I'm just being quiet and just doing my thing. He was like, "Dude," he was like, "you should have been out of here a year ago." So what he did is he was like, "Pick any department you want to go to." Usually they would pick the department, whether you go like back in the metal shop, wood shop, just all these different areas that you could work at the brig. He was like, "Pick where you want to go." And I picked the escorts division. So the escorts division is top tier. They travel all over the world, picking up prisoners, bringing them back. So if they're over there breaking the law in Japan, they get sentenced, we bring them back to San Diego, they do their time.
Extradition type work.
Yeah, exactly. So those guys were pretty much the badasses of the brig, is the way I saw it. Now, I'm sure not everybody saw it that way, but that's just how I saw it, because they're in civic clothes, they carry 9 mils on commercial airlines, so they're flying United with the Beretta concealed, just picking up
Which isn't easy to conceal.
No.
No.
It's not taking a Snickers into a movie theater.
Right. So I got to that point, and so I went on a mission. We had to take one of the prisoners. His mother passed away. We had to take him to West Virginia for the funeral, and it was Senior Master Sergeant and myself. We were the only two on the team, and so we would get there. We'd take him to the county lockup. They would lock him. They would house him during the downtime until it was funeral time or whatever. So that's when he had that one-on-one conversation with me and just was like, "Hey, what's going on? What is it? What do you love about the Air Force? What do you hate? What?" He really just kind of asked me my perspective on everything. And so I just laid it on him what was going on. And that's where he was really like a father figure to me. He sat down. I mean, we were just two dudes sitting down and just having a conversation. And he was like, "Hey man," he was like, "I understand what happened." He was like, "And you got to understand that the Air Force is big." He's like, "You're going to have some bad leaders out there that are going to treat you like that are not going to be there for you. You're going to have some bad supervisors and stuff like that." He's like, "Do not let that bad experience have a overall bigger picture of the Air Force as a whole." He's like, don't take that as anything." He's like, he's like, "I see great leadership potential in you." He was like, "And we need great leaders to stay in the Air Force, and get these bad ones out." So he's like, "If we lose somebody that's great," he's like, that just doesn't help us out." And I was coming up on my reenlistment. My 6 years was coming up, and so my reenlistment was coming up, and that's pretty much why we were having the conversation. And he's just kind of getting in my head of what I was going to do. And I was kind of telling him, like, "I'm done." But he talked me back into it, to stay in, to do another 6. And I was like, okay. I was like, I'll do it. And that whole year was so transformational for me, because after that conversation, my mindset shifted. on I don't want to be a part of this anymore to I'm all in on Air Force. This is who I want to be. Like I'm respected in this in my career field. I'm in charge of this S Force division. I'm doing great things. I started volunteering more at the brig, doing the weekend prisoner visitations with their families. Just anything I get my hands into, get involved in with the Air Force and the leadership. I was in it. And that year after that conversation, I've got my trophies sitting over here on my shelf. I got Airman of the Quarter. I got Airman of the Year. I got all these awards. I had the I forget what they're called. The head security forces person.
Top cop.
Yeah, top cop. I had him come down, give me the trophy, present it to me. I met a whole bunch of just top dog people that were congratulating me. I got a letter from I got a letter from the president. I got letters from the top cop. I got just all this recognition. Everything I was flourishing at that point. It seemed like every month I was coming into his commander's office getting awarded with something new. I was getting cigars left and right, which I've got all of them saved. Probably not worth a damn now, but they're all sitting in their little jars. So I was loving it, enjoying it, having a great time, until 4 years went by. And at that point, I thought I still had another 2 years. I was testing for tech. I'd already had staff sergeant on, and then all of a sudden the liaison lady came in and she was like, "Hey, what are you going to do? You going to resign or are you going to get out?" I was like, "Well, I got 2 more years to decide." And she was like, "No, you signed a 4-year." And I was like, "No, I signed a 6." And she's like, "Dude, come check the paperwork." And I came and checked the paperwork, and sure as shit, it was a 4-year contract that I signed.
Damn.
So that was the hump. It was 10 years now. I've done 6 and I've done a 4. So we're at the 10-year marks. Now it's if I go beyond that, we're going full 20. If I don't, then we're done here. I just met my wife now. I just got orders to Maelstrom that came across. So that was the biggest deciding factor for me. Once those orders came across to Maelstrom, that was the nope. I'm done.
I ain't going back to jail.
I
already did one new case.
They're gonna take me from the north, put me down here in beautiful San Diego, and then put me right back up in that shit. And I was like, no.
Security forces fashion.
Yeah. Yep. So I met my wife. I was worried about my son at the time because we had joint custody of him. I was worried about not being a part of his life as a man that didn't have a father in his life. I didn't want that for my son. I'm useless as a man. I don't know how to change oil. I don't know how to do shit. Men know how to do. So I was like, I'm not going to be that type of dad for my son. So my wife and I made the decision. We're going to get out. I'm going to sell the house and we're going to move back to Tennessee because it's cheaper. And I'm taking my son with me. So of course there's a whole battle of child custody, and
of course there always is,
the whole mindset of, well, I'm the mom, so I'm going to get them, which is, it's at that time, it was 2015. Like, hey,
it was pretty prevalent.
Yeah. Things have changed. So, the judge saw it my way and got me custody through a whole bunch of different things. But transitioning out. So I saw some of the episodes that you guys were talking about your transitioning out through the Air Force side of things. I had to transition out through the Marine side of things. And I tell you what, the episodes that you guys were talking about that and going through that little class and how like there wasn't really a lot of information and it was just kind of, you're just trying to, I guess, just get the check in the box so you can,
they can kick you out.
The Marine side of it was way worse. I don't even know.
I was not expecting you to say worse. I was like, oh, they did it better.
No.
Nowicki's laughing because he already said it was probably written in crayon.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it was.
I was actually looking around for a box of crayons because I was going to have this episode sponsored by Crayola.
Yeah, right.
Great.
I always wanted
especially
to be a
on
Marine.
Marine base because Marines are sponsored by Crayola. So I tell you, there was no information. It literally was, you go sit in a damn class to get a check in the box so you get your DD-214. Like they handed us big, thick books, but they didn't explain anything. And then of course, they're talking about like all the things you could do, but they're talking to Marines, like grunts, people that are just made to catch bullets. Like those guys,
Damn.
I mean, that's what they were, they're bullet catchers.
Damn.
So
we love them. We love the Marines. We love the Marines.
No, I've got a lot of Marine friends. Love the Marines, but they're definitely frontline material. Like you're
Jiffy
going.
Lube.
Yeah, you're going in. So like, yeah, I just got a couple of thick books, and like, I figured it out. And I was like, oh, okay. So I was too concerned anyways about my child custody, selling the house, and just getting the hell out of San Diego because it was so expensive. But the transition out was on a Marine base. It was super kind of simple, I guess, because I was Air Force, so they didn't really pay me any attention. I just went to the little finance thing, got my shit signed off. They packed my shit, shipped it to Tennessee, and then I followed along there probably a few months later. But yeah, so the process of transitioning out sucked. Getting out sucked. Still, I'm starting to come to terms with the fact that I'm not the guy I was, and that's the biggest hurdle, I think, when you get out.
So we've talked about that a little bit, and I'm glad you touched on it too, like the identity of
Right.
who you were when you were in, and now you're out, and you don't feel like you're that person anymore. Like I'm coming to terms with it even now as a civilian, and it took me I got medically retired in 17. And these guys are freshly retired. I mean, Wick's a week in.
Yeah.
It was crazy, right? 'Cause I actually back to the Kroger today, and some dude was like, this old guy, right? He was like, man, you back that thing up better, not go forward. He's got his little cane. He's like, you in the Air Force? And I'm like, well, that's what the sticker said. It's like, I don't know. We talked about identity on my episode last week, but like walking around the day, it's like, I will never be that cool again.
Right.
And now I have to explain to people, like, I'm not a homeless person. I was in the Air Force for 21 years.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to figure out how to in-process the state of Indiana and get a driver's license. So if you could just be patient with me. And no, I don't need $1. I have $1. So,
Yeah.
Easy.
And Lewis retired a year and a half ago almost.
Coming up on 3
years, 2 years. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was 2022. So
it doesn't look a day
half.
over 2.
Yeah, not a day.
You're aging like milk, my man.
We all still look homeless.
Sour.
What'd you end up doing when you got out, Joe?
So that was a journey in itself. Wiseman, I spoke a lot with him. I haven't talked to him in forever now, but Wiseman was working TSA in LAX. Going through being the escorts, I was always through the airport, running through the airport. So I knew a lot of the big airport people because we always had check-in, show our IDs, let them know we're carrying and all that stuff, all the backdoor political stuff that we have to do with them. So TSA was where I was like, you know what? I think I want to do that. I think that's where I want to be. So I talked a lot with Wiseman at that point. I was actually driving up there a few times a year, visiting him, hanging out. And, I told him, I was like, hey man, I think I'm going to do TSA. And he told me, he's like, do not do TSA. He was like, stay the farthest way as you possibly can from TSA. You do not want that headache. You do not want to do that. He was like, all it is a bunch of ass kissers. It's not what you know, it's who you know. And you're not going to do anything in TSA unless you're up there kissing somebody's ass. And I was like, well, Wiseman, I think I'm going to do it anyways. So I applied for it. So when I first moved back to Tennessee, I applied for TSA, and I was, man, I had nothing but great things from everybody that I was going through. Man, you're great, you're perfect. Like, yes, we want to hire you like right away. Like, just do this. And so it got to the medical screening, and that was the part that confused me the most of why I got denied. So I've been diagnosed with, migraines. And so I was being honest on the sheet, and they're like, what things do you have wrong with you? And so I was like, oh, I have migraines, just take some Aleve, some Tylenol, whatever. And it kind of just suppresses it into a headache. So they denied me off that. They were like, no, if you got migraines, no, we're not going to take you. And I was getting out and not having other plans other than this is what I'm going to do and I'm going to do it. And then just have that balloon punctured and not having a backup plan. And then you're freaking out like, well, shit, I got my wife, I've got my kid. How am I going to make money? Like, what am I going to do? So that was very hard thinking, I'm military, I'm security forces. Like, this is easy. This is an easy hire for them.
Yep.
They're going to take me right off the rip. I did kind of want to do policing when I first got out, but at that time, police officers had a really bad name. That's when all the Black Lives Matter, the riots, and everything was just up in a whirlwind. And police were just had this bad image.
Oh yeah.
And my wife was like, "No," she's like, "You're not going to do that." And my mom's friends with the police chief here, and he was like, "Dude, you've got a job. Just come over. We'll hire you." And my wife was like, "No, you're not doing that." So, I wound up working for my aunt. She owned a factory down here in Nashville. It was really just mind-numbing, dumb work. It started off $10 an hour. It was not making anything. I was making, when I was getting out, I was going to college. I was, I had 60 days of vacation saved up. So I was out going to school, collecting the Air Force paycheck, collecting my GI Bill. I was also had my FAFSA. So I was collecting that paycheck as well. I was making probably about $8,000 a month just on that. And I was loving it. Then when I get hired at a factory and I get $10 an hour, again, another punch to the gut. You're like, damn, dude, I'm worth more than this.
Yep.
So my aunt hired me. I'm doing that. I'm on a line just filling orders for a company, and we're just putting shit in a basket and just sending it down the line. The crazy thing is it is $10 an hour work. It is for people that are supposed to be making $10 an hour. It's really just, you have no qualifications, you have nothing going on for you, and this is just a job and we need it filled, and here's your $10. So I got why my aunt was paying that rate, but at the same time I was like, dude, I need more money than this. But so I started doing that, and I actually doubled her production within my first 6 months. So instead of like X amount of orders going out, I doubled that. And
oh, nice.
So she noticed it, and then she was like, hey, she was like, there's been so much more productivity. The people love you down there. They see you as this like leader. They work faster when you're there because you're out there pushing them, but you're pushing them, like motivating them, like in a nice way. Like, you're not like, hey, hurry up, get your ass. Like, it's like, we're doing this like as a team. So there wasn't any job that I wasn't going to do. Like if they needed something, I was there to do it. So I did that. And then she promoted me over to, it was a printing press business is what she had. So she promoted me over to the big machine that just prints. Dude, I hated that, but she gave me 13 an hour. But I just couldn't get the hang of it. You had to get the stack just right, so it would print just right on everything, and then it would cut just right. Like it was a lot, and I just couldn't deal with it. So I was doing that. My wife picked up a part-time job because we needed money, picking up trash here at apartment complexes for a company, and she was doing it at night. So I would get off work, come home, and then she would go and do that, and she would take my truck. Again, we're white Tennessee, like it's just country folk, like it's kind of inbred a little bit in some areas. And so my wife is out. She's on the phone. She's talking to her mom. Her mom speaks Spanish, so they're talking in Spanish. And somebody came out of the apartment and just started talking sideways. Get your ass out of here. We don't want Mexicans here. The whole nine, just like, just tearing into her. And so after that happened, I was like, okay. I was like, we're not doing that anymore. I was like, I need a job with you. I was like, I'm going to start working with you at night. So I started working with her. Again, her and I as a team, we were knocking it out. We were doing all these apartment complexes, efficient, fast, getting it done. And so the district manager noticed and he was like, hey, I want to offer you a management position. You willing to do that? And I was like, hell yeah, let's do it. So he lied to me, kind of like a recruiter. He told me I would be making like $50,000 a year in this position. I'd have X amount of properties. I was like, okay, yeah, let's do it. So I quit my job with my aunt. My aunt was, butthurt. I came in, I told her, I was like, hey, I'm gonna give my 2 weeks. I got another position. I'm gonna be making this much, and she let me go on the spot. She's like, no, go get your stuff, get out. I was like,
damn.
Yeah.
Don't let the door hit you or the good Lord split you.
Yeah, exactly. So I went and did that. Dude, I got so many learning experiences from all these different positions being out of the military. And it definitely was a wealth of knowledge of making me miss the military more, because I don't think anybody knows how anything runs out here in the civilian side. Shit is just going and it's not efficient. So I got the job. I'm doing the management thing. I'm signing papers. The HR calls me and says, hey, we should sign this paperwork. They shoot me the numbers over. It's like $30,000 a year. I'm like, no. I was like, I was told I was going to get 50. And she's like, who told you that? I was like, my district manager. She was like, no, this position starts at 30. She's like, I might be able to get you 32. I was like, well, I need at least 40.
That I might not be signing.
Yeah. She's like, no, I've already quit my job. Like, I'm done. I'm like, so she was like, 31 is the most I can get you. I was like, I'll take it, whatever. And so I took it, went to Tampa, met up with Jordan down in Tampa.
Yep.
Him and I had a great time. He was still driving generals around. That was his job down there.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that.
So him and I hung out while I was down there doing that schooling. And man, we were having a great time. We're talking about just all the old memories of Minot. He came to San Diego one time when I was there, stayed with me for a night when he was a Raven. Dude, we were just cheesing it up, having a good time. Got back, did my job. Literally within 4 months, they fired me. We got new leadership that came through. This guy was a Marine, just retired out of the Marines, a little short Hispanic guy. He was just buff and just very, he was Marine mindset. He was not civilian, but
very militant. I've heard that term recently.
Very, very, which I liked until I didn't like it, So picking up trash in cold weather, hot weather, rain weather, these positions are just for part-time work, nighttime, and we cannot get anyone to get these damn positions. Nobody wanted to pick up trash, so we were paying people we already had hired extra money. And I didn't sign any of the checks, so my district manager was like, hey, just pay him $100 for the night, pay him $200 for the night, just pay him this, pay him this. I was like, okay. So in the computer system, I would put it in, but I would send it to him to sign off on it. I'm like, okay, you need to sign off. I'm not signing off on that.
Mm-hmm.
So this goes on for probably 3 months, and it's just for us to keep afloat, because if not, we're losing $1 million contracts off these apartment complexes. So I'm doing this stuff. He's signing off on it. A few months go by. I get a phone call from him. He's like, hey, they just let me go. Just be aware they might be calling you in. But he's like, they're not going to fire you, because if they fire you, they're going to be up shit's creek. So there's no way they're going to let you go. I was like, okay, great. So literally like 2 nights later, I get an email saying, hey, you need to be here at this time. Bring all your stuff, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I look at the email and I'm like, okay, I'm getting fired, whatever. So I go out and I work anyways because I'm the guys that we're paying. I don't want to leave them out there on their own. But they're depending on that check and they need me there to get their checks. So I was like, okay,
and
I'm
you
gonna
were a
go work.
leader in the military, so you know what leadership is.
Yeah, exactly.
Good
So
and bad.
right. So I was like, I'm not gonna leave these guys high and dry. I'm gonna go work. And I'm literally, it's 1:00 in the morning, and I get a phone call or a text message. Hey, did you get the email? You better be there. And I was like, motherfucker, like, I didn't respond. I got the damn email. Like, I'll be there. And so we work until probably 5:00 in the morning. And I have to be there at 8. So I go home, rack out for maybe an hour.
That sounds like security forces after a mid shift.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many 8:00 meetings I had to go to after getting off at 4 or 5:00 in the morning.
Right. So, yeah, so they called me in. It's this hotel lobby. They bring me in. They got their legal team there. So they're bringing me in. They're asking me these questions like, hey, you know, why did you pay these people? I was like, I didn't pay them. I was like, I put the numbers in, but I didn't sign off on it. They're like, no, you paid them. I was like, my signature's not on any of it. They're like, you know, how is it fair that they're making, you know, triple of what you're making? I was like, honestly, it's not fair. I was like, but I was like, it's either that or we lose $1 million contracts. I was like, so, you know, take your pick. Like, you pay the guys a little extra so we can stay afloat, or you just lose your contracts. And so that Marine guy's there, and he is just, I don't know what, because I'm just like laid back, chilling, like I already know what's coming. So it's like there's nothing I can do. So he is just drilling my ass, and I'm just like I was like, first of all, I was like, you need to calm down. And I was like, you're not gonna talk to me that way. I was like, apparently I don't work for you anymore. So I was like, so don't fucking talk to me like that. And he's just going off, and then the legal team comes over, and then that guy starts like trying to use these intimidation factors on me about going to court, taking me, suing me for the money. And I'm just like, bro,
you can't prove
and
it.
So I've got my work phone still with all the contacts for all the employees that work under me. I just go through it. I just start deleting everything. I said, hey guys, I'm getting fired. You guys aren't getting paid, because they said we're not gonna honor that money. And so I send a mass text to all of them. Hey, you guys aren't getting paid. I'm getting fired. You know, you guys do what you want with that information. And then I deleted all the contacts out of that phone, and they handed the phone back to him, blank phone. And let me tell you, legal team was so fucking pissed. They're like, they didn't know how to get in contact with the employees to ask them who's going to take care of what. They didn't have anything on them. And so they were like super pissed. And then my boss was there because he was turning in, my district manager, he was there because he had to turn in his stuff the same time I was turning mine. So we turn in our stuff, we go sit up front, and him and I are talking out there, just hanging out. Then that legal guy comes out, and he just starts yelling at me and starts yelling at him. He's like, you cannot talk to each other. Blah, blah, blah. I was like, I don't fucking work for you. I was like, don't tell me what I can and can't do. I was like, you already fired me, so don't. So yeah, they let me go. They fired me. And again, back in the rut of, fuck, now what am I going to do? I'm a qualified guy in a lot of stuff. I'm adaptive. I can pick up shit. I can do shit.
Quick question. How did this affect your wife? Because I know she worked there.
Yeah. No. So she wasn't fired. They called her that night. Hey, can you come in? And she's like, fuck no, I'm not coming in. And we were just sitting laughing about it. Like, no, we're not. She's like, no, I'm not coming in. She's like, what? She's like, what kind of question is that? But so I got fired from there, and then I'm struggling to figure out what I'm going to do. My wife does insurance, so she makes good money. At the time, she was still kind of, I wouldn't say on the bottom of the totem pole, but she had worked her way up, so she was making okay money. Me getting that job at Valet Waste got me money to afford, put down payment on the house, not down payment, but be able to get the paperwork done for the house. So we had just bought this house, and here I am, not a job now, and I'm stressing. I am stressing to the max. I'm like, man, what am I gonna do? My disability wasn't much. I was like 30% disabled, so I was getting $400. It was $433 a month for that. I was like, man, what am I gonna do? So I just started applying everywhere, and then Ross Dress for Less called me back for asset protection. Like, hey, love to have you. And I was like, I'm sure you would. I was like, okay. I was like, I'll do it. And so
I'd love to take you.
Yeah. So I go in there, and they're offering them, measly $10 an hour. And I'm like, whatever, dude, I'll take it. So I'm doing that. That was a mind-numbing job. You're just standing there, and what's crazy is
Did you wear the blue vest too?
Dude, I had that black vest with the damn access protection and gold lettering on the back, like I was damn Magic Mike.
Loss prevention.
Yeah, loss prevention. Yeah, it was.
You touch those clothes, I'm getting that ass, boy.
Yeah, right. So, yeah, so those big corporations, it's so weird because they have this already allotted amount of, hey, we know people are stealing from us, and we know they're going to steal about this much money from us a year.
It's accepted risk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So do not stop anybody from stealing. Just stand there and look intimidating. Dude, I walked so many people. Just the one that fed me up the most was there was two ladies that walked in. They just filled up 2 carts, clothes, electronics, and they just walked right out the front door. And then they get into the back of their car and they start loading it back. They backed into the parking spot. So you already knew.
Oh, yeah.
They loaded it all into the SUV and then they took off. And I was like, bro. And I was like, I was asking my boss, I was like, so we just don't do anything. He was like, no, you can't do anything. I was like, we can't call the cops. And like, no, you can't do anything. I was like, what is the point in this position? He was like, honestly, it's just to stand there and hopefully they don't do it because you're here. And I was like,
a non-psychological deterrent.
Yeah. Yep. I was like, this is
Yep.
so dumb. And so there's funny is the next day that lady came in with the electronics trying to return it. She's like, oh, my son didn't like this. I was like, I saw you last night steal this. And she was like, oh. And then I got in trouble because I accused a customer of stealing, but
of course
it was her. Like, and so she was there trying to get money back, but they gave her store credit. And I was like, this is really stupid. She just doubled up on this. And so I couldn't take it anymore. I was like, I can't do this. Which got me into the position I'm in today. That was in 2016. So all this has happened in a year's time, just job after job. And, yeah, it's just nonsense. A bunch of wasting my time and stressing for no reason. So my uncle had a DUI and he's friends with the owner of the DUI company. And so he had a breathalyzer in his car and he knew I was looking for a job. One of the owners is an attorney and they were like, hey, my uncle was like, hey, I can get you in with them. I was like, dude, I'm open for anything. Just something, just give me something. He got me in with them and I was, I dressed up like nice shirt, nice slacks, belt, for this interview. And that's one of the things my boss said now. He's like, dude, he was like, you were like super dressed up for this position. I was like, well, that's what I was supposed to do.
I didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
All I heard was lawyer.
Yeah. So we did the interview. They hired me. They were like, we're going to start you off as a technician, which is, bottom of the barrel. It was all about wiring electronics, wiring this DUI device in people's cars. So, they have to blow to go.
Yep.
And so it was crazy because it was hard to learn for me, like to pick it up. I don't know why my brain kept on defaulting to like Hollywood, but for some reason I kept on thinking that you have to cut the ignition and then spark it off with the 12 volt to get the car to start. And so I kept doing, I was cutting the wrong wires, essentially, is what I was doing. And I couldn't figure it out because my mind always defaulted, hey, cut this one. You're not supposed to cut that one, but that's what I was doing. And it was weird because there was one night, the nights were getting late and I would clock out on time, but I would stay an extra 2 or 3, 4 hours because I was effing these people's cars up because I was just cutting shit. I didn't know what was going on. And their car wouldn't start after I got the machine put in. It wouldn't start. And I was just sitting there like, dude, I don't understand this. So I would spend an extra 3 or 4 hours trying to undo my mistake and fix it. And there was one night I had to take a customer home, which you're not supposed to do, but I felt bad for him. So I was like, dude, I'll take you home. I'll come in tomorrow morning. I'll get to work on your car again. And it was like, I didn't get home until like 11 o'clock that night. And I'm laying in bed with my wife and I'm like, babe, I was like, I don't know if I can keep doing this. I was like, this is, again, it's so stressful. And these late nights are really starting to, compile on me. I don't know if I can just keep going at this pace. And thank God she sat there and she was like, I have faith in you. You will get it.
Mm.
You just got to keep practicing. Just keep doing it. You will get it. And sure as shit, maybe another month later, a light bulb went off in my head. It clicked. I was like, oh, this is all I got to do. And I was just doing it. And then after that moment, life was easy. Everything in this company was easy. I just started doing stuff and I started working my way up. And I became the manager of 5 stores here.
Awesome.
Within a year. And then after a year, another year went by. Then I became director of operations for the state of Tennessee and South Carolina. So now I run the state. I'm meeting with congressmen. I've been on the news. I've done all this great stuff. I know vehicles like the back of my hand now. I know where to get everything. I'm in and out of a car within 20 minutes. It usually takes about an hour. I can do it in 20 minutes, knock it out. So it's crazy that I almost quit on that. But then on the back end of that, I became this like top guy again, right? Then about 2 years ago, my wife's company, she started getting more active in her company where she was becoming top dog herself.
Right.
And so childcare is expensive. And
Yes.
so
You're telling me.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Basically, my whole paycheck was going to childcare, essentially. Like, I was just like, there's just no way. I'm just losing money at this point just to send them to daycare. So my wife was like, how about you stay at home and we can save on that childcare and, do that and we can find something. I was like, okay. So my disability, and that's a whole nother adventure right there. Disability VA is terrible. I hate them. I despise them.
Yeah. I think we go through that in another episode too.
Yeah. So basically, long story short, my disability went up to about 70%, then it went to 90%. 90%, I was like, okay, we can stay afloat. I tried to quit. My boss was like, no, you're not quitting. He was like, you've got too much information, too much wealth of knowledge. You know how to do things. You know how this company runs. He was like, I cannot afford to lose you. So he told me, he was like, whatever it is you want, I will make it happen. Just tell me what you want. And so I talked to my wife and we decided, okay, I was going to work at home. No more traveling because I was doing a lot of on the road. No more traveling, and I'm going to work part-time, 20 hours a week.
That's
and
awesome.
He was like, that's fine. You got it, man. We'll do that. He was like, can I ask you if you could travel sometimes? I was like, if it's an emergency, absolutely. I got your back. I'll do it. So that's where I'm at now. I'm a stay-at-home dad, disabled veteran. I'm still director of operations, but I do part-time. I'm trying to get out of it. My wife and I, we have some properties in Guatemala now. We're building our second home down there on the lake. I'm trying to get down there and live down there, half the year and half the year here in Tennessee. Which we could get into another whole episode on.
Oh yeah.
An expat going to another country, because it's actually kind of weird how it all works out with the VA and your disability check and everything else, that whole side of things. But we'll get into that in another episode, man. Yeah. But yeah, man, I'm living life, I'm loving it now. Again, another episode with the VA with all the medical stuff, but I'm seeing counseling. I'm trying to get over that hump of I'm not the guy I was. And now that I'm a stay-at-home dad, it's more not emasculating, but you're kind of knocked off those tiers of I used to be this guy up here, and now I'm slowly starting to feel like I'm not as important as I want to be.
Well, if it makes you feel better, man, and I'm sure that I can speak for Wick and Lewis on this too, like you are still up here.
Right.
Look at the success you brought, and you're not just up here to us as peers, but you're up there. You're up here to your family and to your wife and to your kids.
And those are the most important people in your life.
Those are the ones that matter.
That's true.
Yeah.
And
because my wife couldn't do what she does without me sacrificing what I do. But
and that's not that.
My wife
that's
would
not,
agree.
And and I'm telling you right now, that's not you being emasculated or anything like that. That is you actually stepping up to the plate, and sacrificing as a parent and a husband,
right?
And
that takes a lot of work.
Oh yeah, I know. My kids are ADHD.
Ultimately, at the end of the day, man, if you don't fornicate me, feed me, or finance me, fuck you.
Absolutely.
And
The 3 Fs.
well,
Yeah.
hey guys,
Keeping
I
it clean
think
for the kids that are watching.
Yeah. Well, I was kind of foul language, so I apologize.
no, it's
Yeah,
don't
fuck
worry
it.
about
You're
it.
good.
You're good. Well, anyways, on behalf of the Outranked Podcast and everybody else, Joe, thank you very much for showing up.
Oh man, I appreciate it, and I had a blast.
Thank you for your story too, man. And we got to bring you back on and talk about the VA stuff. All
Yeah.
4 of us again. Wick, thank you for coming for your first full-time episode.
You know, I thought I got fired halfway through it.
Not even
No,
halfway,
but
you're quarter
you
through.
really, yeah, you really tested my resilience there. But Joe, absolutely, thanks for sharing your story with us, man. I learned a lot from you. I look up to you for what you continue to do, for what you have done. But I will tell you, if I've learned anything from this podcast, it's never to let Joe Brush negotiate or sign a contract for me, because
No,
it will get
yeah.
fucked.
No, that's why my wife does all the paperwork now. And she doesn't trust me. But she doesn't trust me on anything. She questions everything. If it has anything to do
Well,
with anything,
she
she's like,
should.
yeah, no, she's well
Yeah,
within
I'm
her
not
right.
allowed to go on contracts without consultation either. So
Yeah, I don't do anything without the boss's approval.
Lewis, any last words before we sign off and I give our sign off here?
I definitely appreciate you coming on, being open about your struggles and even the fact, that you seek mental health, right? And that there's no issues, with that it's helpful, right?
Yeah.
Because there's such a stigma, especially from our generation, of, not going to mental health. And that's one of
Right.
the big things of why we started this. Right. And so definitely appreciate you sharing your story and sharing your struggles and how you overcame. And I cannot express how resilient I think you are.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
So kudos on that. I think that's the best job you have, is being resilient. So
appreciate
congrats on there. Congrats on everything you've accomplished and where you're at. And, being a stay-at-home dad, even the 20 hours of work, it takes a lot of work, but I'm sure it's
right.
There's bad days and there's good days, but in the end, I'm sure you can agree it's worth it, right?
Yeah, it's rewarding for sure.
Yeah, especially with all those years of not being there. So,
Yeah.
And Joe, as your friend for 20 years, I can't tell you. Again, I tell this to Nowicki all the time. Like, I'm proud of you, dude. You've done really good for your family. You've done great for yourself, and you've got a brotherhood here that truly cares about you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I know Wick and Lewis just met you, but I'm sure they feel the exact same way.
Oh yeah, I feel
Yeah,
the same way
absolutely.
about you guys.
So you got you've always had a friend in me, but now you got 2 extra friends here, 2 extra brothers that sit there and look out for you.
I see what you did there.
And
Yeah,
for
my personality keeps me from making friends, so this podcast is really helping me out.
I didn't make too many friends when I got out. So
And for everybody who's listening, you can follow us on Instagram at Outranked Pod, on X at Outranked Pod, on YouTube at the Outranked Podcast. You can listen to us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And if you like what you're hearing, click like and subscribe. Leave us a comment. Let us know how you're doing. If you want to show up on the podcast and tell your story, we would love to hear you. Anything else, gentlemen? Anything else you guys want to say?
I think we covered it.
Brush, you
At
want
least
to say?
until the next one.
Yeah, until the next one. We're going to take a week off for the 4th of July.
Yep.
We're going to be off until next week. So, and everybody enjoy your
Unemployed
4th.
again. Damn it.
how much they paying you?
I'm not getting paid.
Hey, neither are we.
Yeah.
We do
An
this for fun.
internship.
That's right.
But on behalf of everybody, thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you guys on the next time.